Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. This is channel 4 of 4. And the subject is that which is the influential fields and the attributes of them, of the human body. We've spoken of the influential field now for 2 days. We've spoken of the highest attributes that you have that influence you, or that you can put things into the field which then soothe others. But this is different. It's not new, but it's different. It's not what you expect, because it now comes into play with what's going to happen with my work from now on. Something that's going to happen in addition to everything else that my partner has me doing. This will be new. Now, my partner, I want you to go slow. It's an advanced information. Some of it may be eye-rolling to some. Please stay with me as I present things to you, which I want to be logical, and yet at the same time, expansive. There is a field, dear ones, that exists within your DNA. It's something that is not well understood or known or recognized or revealed, except to those who are starting to have it revealed to them. This field of your DNA is responsible for just about everything chemical in your body. From the day you're conceived to now, this field of your DNA actually postures the efficiency of how you operate. This field that comes from your DNA is more than influential, as you'll see in a moment. It is hooked to consciousness, like everything else is, and it is quantum. Go slow, my partner. I want to talk about something that is not understood at all by medical science. Regeneration. Your human body regenerates. And if you take a look at what science thought some years ago and what they now realize, they are seeing what they didn't expect. Everything regenerates. A few years ago, they said, well, not everything does. There's certain kinds of cells that don't. The reason they thought that, because they thought regeneration would be linear. And then they're starting to discover, well, oddly enough, your liver regenerates faster than other things. And oh, by the way, those cells we thought didn't regenerate at all, they do, just slower. But everything regenerates. If everything regenerates, why is there death? Wouldn't it make sense that you simply continue to renew and renew and renew? Why should you grow old? There is a field around your DNA, dear ones, hooked to consciousness that controls your regeneration and many other things. I haven't named it yet. When I do, you'll recognize it. Why do you age? Because the regeneration is dysfunctional. It's not a perfect regeneration. Did you know that if your body had a higher consciousness, you'd have a higher lifespan? Did you know that? No one has ever hooked this together yet. They say chemistry is chemistry, spirituality is spirituality, and don't confuse the two. And I am not confusing the two. I am saying they are allied, one with the other. They hold hands. one with the other. This field around your DNA, from the moment of conception to now, hooked to the consciousness of where your DNA will go and where you will go and where your chemistry will go and how you regenerate. I want to give you a puzzle. On this planet, when you take a look at other life forms, have you noticed something? There's one of them that regenerates so well it can grow back limbs. Did you notice that? Does that bother you that you're the top of the evolutionary chain and you cannot grow back a limb and an amphibian can? There is something here that you're missing. You realize you can regenerate muscle and all the skin and all of the things you need, all the nerves, all the things you need to grow back a limb, and you can't. What about this one? When the spinal cord is severed, that nerve bundle wants to grow back together. It wants to regenerate. Every single nerve has an address. It knows the other one. It knows what's severed. Did you know that there's chemistry that actually races to the scene that stops them from growing back together? Do your research. It's one of the great mysteries of spinal cord separation. Why don't they grow back? It has to do with that field, and I'm going to give it a name in just a moment, that regenerates and controls the regenerate rate and controls whether or not you are smart enough in the chemistry of your body to grow back a limb. Kryon, just a minute. Are you telling me that someday we'll have the ability to grow back a limb? Let me answer it this way. Take the greatest master you can think of. The highest of the high, the one that walked the earth, the greatest master. If he lost a hand, could he grow it back? Are you thinking about it? And the answer would say, well, I believe, yes, he could grow back that limb. He could grow back a hand or an arm or anything. And you'd say, well, why? You say, because he was allied with the consciousness of the Creator. He was a master. And I'll tell you the difference, because that human being had a field around his DNA that was working at 80%. And chemically, he could and would grow back a limb. And I'm telling you this, there is an evolvement going on within something in your body that you know about and that you have named. It's the smart body. It's called the innate. You didn't expect that, did you? Oh, you had fear, you had joy, you had love, and now we have innate. Because what's going to happen is that is going to start increasing in its intelligence in its way that you do not expect. Not at all. Let's talk about disease for a moment. Let me give you a picture of a dysfunctional system that's not working well, perhaps only at 30%, because that field around your DNA is holding back the rest of the story, waiting for a higher consciousness to develop that envelops your entire soul Merkaba field, where everything starts to work better. That's the influence, dear ones. Listen to this. A virus comes into the body, and the virus is either known or not known. There are either antibodies and white blood cells, and all that you've studied, the chemistry of it, either knows it or doesn't. And if it doesn't know it, then the virus takes over. And slowly, until it can study it and know it and develop the antibodies and all these things, but meanwhile, the virus can kill you. What kind of a system is that? Let me ask you a question. A burglar is breaking into your house. What do? Well, of course, you go interview the burglar to see if you know him. And you say, no, I don't. I call for help. Wouldn't it make sense that the body would recognize invasion no matter what it was and says, you don't belong here, you're out of here? I'll tell you something. That is how it's supposed to work. The idea that it has to develop chemistry that then will make you immune is dysfunctional. And you're looking at it right now. The body is designed to be uber smart, very smart, smarter than you even know it can be, using processes you have no idea that it could do. That's this field around every piece of your DNA, every molecule of your DNA. Trillions and trillions of them together create a field that is the smart body. The innate is about to take off. Cancer is so sad because it's so curable without ever going to the hospital. It's so curable. With a high consciousness of a human being that knows who they are and is not filled with a lack of self-worth and really knows who they are. Let me tell you how it can work. Cancer is not a virus, and yet it's still alive. And it mimics being okay. So the body does not recognize it necessarily like it would a virus. It doesn't go after it with antibodies and white blood cells. Not really. Not the way it would with a disease that you catch. It's silent, and it grows inside, and it mimics being okay, and it grows on other organs and says, well, I'm okay because I'm hiding in here. I want to tell you what this body of yours is capable of doing. Remember when I said it could recognize something that doesn't belong there? The body is designed to recognize cancer. I want you to get ready for something. A new process that you've never seen before, that the body will start showing it can do. As consciousness increases, and there are cases of this, there will be head scratching. How did that happen? How was it accomplished? The body has always had in its arsenal of tools the ability to starve any cancer. Cancer is alive. It's got to eat. If the body could recognize it and not let it feed, you say, oh no glucose for you today. It could kill it quickly, and can. It is there in that field. It's just not there good enough to be seen yet. Cancer will not be cured. It simply won't exist, dear ones. The body won't let it exist. This is a field that is known to you, and you have seen it over and over, and you didn't know what it was, and you didn't give it credit. It's the one that responds to homeopathy. What else could explain that? When you have a tincture that is too chemically small to have any kind of a reaction, and yet the body responds instantly to the instruction set. There's a field around your DNA that's smart, that has to do with your aging, your regeneration, and all of the things that a master could do. You've seen it. Oh, you've seen it. A woman lays in a hospital with stage 4. She's about ready still to have another operation that will simply prolong her life and not save it. And she's had 2 others. And she's lying there, and suddenly something happens. And every time this happens, if you interview the patient, they'll tell you, I had an overwhelming sensation of wellness, and it came over my entire body. And before I went into surgery, and some of the last tests they did, and they took my blood, and they said, wait a minute. We may have had some bad tests here. Let's put her back. And they find out that the cancer is gone. Gone enough, not completely gone, but gone enough to put her in the other room and find out that it's dying, and then 2 or 3 days later, it's completely gone, like it never was there. And it has a name. Spontaneous remission. It may not have actually been spontaneous, but it's as fast as the body could do it, to kill it, to starve it. You've seen it. Do you ever wonder what it was? Are you just going to call it a miracle and move on? You're going to thank the angels and move on? Are you going to say instead, maybe, just maybe, there's something in the body that works that way? It's the innate. It's the smart innate. That's the name of that little field that does so much. It'll keep you alive for generations and generations. Your body is designed to live hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. That's what regeneration is about. Grow limbs back, stay on this planet. Why would regeneration be functional? It's because the consciousness is not high enough yet. And that, my dear humans, is why I'm here. To show and tell you that this is starting to change within you and to give you proof. The woman who is waiting to go on stage, to go in front of many people and be touched by the faith healer, is going to have the same exact thing. Through her belief, through the high consciousness represented in a spiritual action, her body heals itself right there in front of thousands. And that is how it works, dear ones. Now, come with me, dear ones, just for a moment, while I introduce you to the Circle of 12, where we will create an influential field that the innate will recognize if you allow it. And the process will be allowance. The Circle of 12 will be an enhancement circle that your innate will recognize and see and say, finally. A place where you can sit week after week, if you wish, and feel that which is the healing energy that is within your body. An awakening of that field within you, in that Circle of 12 that is allowing you to have the spontaneous remission, to see it or not, or to have a piece or a part of it, whatever your body will do with it. And you're all different. What level of self-worth do you have? What level of consciousness do you have? It doesn't matter. Because when you get into that Circle of 12, you will start feeling those things. It tickles that field of your innate that talks to your cellular structure, that unified field, unified with spirit, and ready for healing on this planet perhaps you haven't seen before. And this is the beginning, because once you recognize what it feels like, you'll know you can do it yourself. But for now, I have told my partner to create times where you can sit in the field, an enhanced field, and have the opportunity for your body to starve that cancer, to eliminate that disease, if it's supposed to be. That's why I'm here. You passed 2012. I was here to tell you about the shift. I did. And now we'll start something else. an enhancement to help any of those of you who wish to come and sit and feel and be in the circle of 12. Everything I have told you is real, is there, is starting to be revealed to many on the planet. And this is just a piece of it. Humanity someday will be free of the diseases that you have today. A body that won't let anything in that doesn't belong there. So right now, before I leave, let me ask you, what doesn't belong in your consciousness right now? What are you afraid of? What doesn't belong in a joyful human? What doesn't belong in somebody who is pure, made in his image? Think about it. Think about it. And so it is.